What's up, Bryan?
Howdy.
All right. Well, I appreciate you agreeing to do this.
Yeah.
It's kind of a journey. You don't really know much about my story. Obviously, we've not known each other for a terribly long time, but I've been through crazy last couple years. And so that's what inspired this whole journey, the Closers Playbook. For years, people have told me I need to write a book or I need to do a podcast or whatever. And so I just got tired of people telling me that. I figured if people tell you something enough times, you probably should do it. And so that's how this all was born. So anyways, I know your time is super important and I appreciate you meeting with us. So we'll just get right into it. This is the Closers Playbook. And like we talked about in the first episode, the whole point of this is we want raw, unscripted, no BS. You see all these influencers out there, quote unquote influencers online. Everything's fake and scripted, and they talk about how they're going to meet with these people to interview them, but they're not really catching them like that, And I wanted to flip the script on social media, essentially. Sorry, guys, but I kind of hate social media, because it is so fake and it's just so much bullshit.
Right.
One of the things that Eric talks about is I'm who I am. What you see is what you get. It doesn't matter who you are or if you go to church with me or whatever. That's just who I am, And so that's the idea of this is we are interviewing top 1%ers. In your case, it's up to you whether or not you want to disclose to the audience where you're at in that scale. I would love, for you to if you're comfortable with it. But top 1% in America is 1.1 million net worth, which is nothing. Really, right. in the grand scheme of things.
I may have outkicked that coverage.
I think you've,
pretty good.
per month right now. Let's just start simple, easy. What's your name and what do you do, or what in your case, what did you do?
What did I do? Yeah.
And go from there.
What I did, and what I do now are pretty vastly different. My name is Bryan Beaver.
Yeah.
I'm born and raised Kansas Cityan.
Okay.
Very, very proud of that. Kansas City's a great town.
Yeah.
It was a great city to not only be reared in, but it was also a great place to build a business.
Yeah.
Anyway, I really only worked for two different companies in my adult life.
Okay.
My father was in the welding supply business. And so I worked for him from the time I was probably 14 till I was about 25.
Okay.
And the family business thing just really wasn't for me.
Right.
What I didn't care for about family business was for families to really function well in a business, there has to be at a maturity level with all players where they can separate issues.
Yeah.
And when you don't have that, then the apples get mixed up with the oranges. And, not only is there a lot of emotional suffrage from the family, then also the business takes a beating because the family tends to be focused on some of the wrong stuff.
Yeah. And you said that was until you were around 25?
I was 25.
Okay.
Yeah, when I left my dad's company. And I really didn't leave it by choice. He made the decision for me to leave, and that was the third time he'd done that in my adult life. So I decided, going back to that yo-yo was not for me. So I had an opportunity to go to work for the gentleman that actually supplied us our fuel.
Okay.
The name of the company was Carter Petroleum Products Incorporated.
Okay. Yeah. It
was founded by Sam Carter in 1960. I was actually his first salesperson that he ever hired.
Really?
He kind of did all the sales and business development for himself, and then he realized the opportunity to grow and how the oil marketing industry was changing, and so he decided he was going to hire some people, and I kind of happened to be the lucky guy that was the first one on the spot.
And what year was that?
That would have been 1983.
Okay.
Just over the years. I was a pretty aggressive young guy, and Sam paid me on an incentive-based pay plan. So, needless to say, I went from working for my dad for $20,000 a year, and I got beyond that hit that six-figure mark about 2 years out,
Okay.
and so there really wasn't any looking back. I had no desire to go back to get involved in some emotional thing and work for a fifth of what I was worth.
Sure. And to put that in perspective, because you say, we're talking in 1983 to 1995, it sounds like you say 20,000 for your dad,
In
up to
'83, I made,
100,000. We're talking in today's market, that's $500,000, or like 100,000
I'd
back
have to
then would be
do,
like $500,000 today, probably,
or more,
or more.
maybe.
Yeah, that's like
Yeah,
7 figures in today's market.
sure.
Okay. Just to, because you don't think about that time
Right.
and inflation and what does that
Right.
mean in today's market.
Sure. Yeah.
So, okay, great.
It's a different world. Anyway, I worked for Sam for a few years. He promoted me to management
Okay.
in '87, and ended up managing all of our. By then, we had a whole host of salespeople, and they all reported up to me. Ultimately, my role expanded to vice president of sales and marketing. Just continued as I could do more. He gave me more to do,
Yeah.
and then he came to me actually in late '87. So I'd been with him about 4 years, and Sam said, I've employed thousands of people since I started this company in 1960, but he said, I've never employed anyone like you.
Mm.
So I took that as a pretty big compliment,
Yeah, that feels
and
good.
did feel good. And so his point in bringing that up was he wanted to know if I would have any interest in working out a long range succession plan so
Yeah.
that when he retired, then I became the owner of the company.
Okay.
And I said yes. So we spent about the next probably 2 years. Never got in a hurry.
Sure.
At the time I was about 30,
Okay. I was
he
wondering.
was,
Yeah.
yeah, and he was in his late 40s. And so he, we worked on a program, and I think we signed it up in 1990, by the first of 1990,
Okay.
so that 10 years from then, the end of '99, he could retire.
Okay.
The last 3 years that I worked for Sam, I was president of the company.
Okay.
So he functioned as chairman and CEO,
Right.
and so I had really the whole business, day-to-day operations.
Yeah.
It was interesting because we kind of worked out a plan for some internal financing, et cetera. And as it worked out, I had done some things on the side with his blessing
Right.
over that 10-year period to build some net worth of my own. We kind of worked out a plan for him to finance part of the business.
Right.
And then we did our contract entailed really a set of golden handcuffs for both of us,
Okay.
which was really brilliant.
When you say like kind of a mutual set of golden hand, like what does that mean? Just
So I had to start paying him 10% of my gross income as
Okay.
an earnest deposit to buy the company.
Okay.
Okay. So, I mean, by that time, I was making really good money. So,
Sure.
10% of my gross was a pretty good check every year.
Yeah.
So, I did that for the full 10 years.
Okay.
For him to ask me to depart from the company, he had to pay me a multiple of that to get rid of me.
Got it. Yeah.
And if I decided to quit and go do something else, I had to pay him a multiple of it to leave.
Oh wow. Yeah, that is good.
So we
had
our teeth in each other. But what was amazing was by the time Sam retired, we were already one of the largest gasoline marketing companies in Missouri and Kansas. We're headquartered right there in Kansas City, so we were on the state line. But by then we were doing business in about 7 states.
Okay.
And quite a name and a reputation in the
Right.
industry because
And
we
it was
were
always
really rapid growing. I mean, our growth in the '80s and '90s, we had years we grew anywhere from 20 to 45%. I mean, just massive growth, a lot of growing pains. We innovated a lot of things. We created a lot of new ways to approach the gasoline marketing industry that big oil had never even thought of. So I would say when I went to work for Sam, we were a mom and pop business.
Right.
By the time he retired, we were a professionally managed business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's non-alcoholic, guys. Don't worry about it. Okay.
So we had moved the company from a mom and pop shop to being
And
professionally
when you say
managed.
mom and pop, like how many employees? What were you doing in revenue versus?
When I went to work for Sam in 1983, I think we did a little over 6 million in revenue.
Okay, so that's mom and pop. How many employees and
Oh gosh,
just a guess. I mean, honestly, it doesn't have to be exact.
maybe 40 or something to that
Okay.
effect. And then,
And then what about if you fast forward all the way to your exit?
well, if you let's fast forward to Sam's exit. Sam
Fast forward to,
retired in
yeah.
99 and we were at 480 million in sales.
Wow.
And then fast forward to
400
my
million?
480 million.
Oh, 480 million.
Yeah. And then fast forward to my exit in 2012, we did 1.7 billion.
Wow.
So you can take that sales growth trajectory over that almost 30 years.
It's just
It's
a total.
well, it was pretty steady up. I get a kick out of today in my life. People that have only known me for 10 or 20 years, then I get enough editorials about my lifestyle. I'm really not interested in them, but um, I'm like, yeah, this has always been easy, Joe. It's just overnight success. It only took me 30 years.
Right.
Yeah, there's always a lot of confusion about success for people that have never attained any because um, they see the outcome.
Right.
Okay, they see the baby.
Yep.
They don't ever see the labor pains.
100%.
Okay? And I've lived through the labor pains.
Oh yeah.
It took all the labor pains to get the baby, and those were 30 years worth of labor pains.
Right.
Okay, so that's my overnight success story. Is 30 years
Your
worth
30-year overnight success story.
of doing the same thing every day and doing it well. And one of the things we were really good at as a company, and a lot of this was my leadership as CEO, was I really disciplined our planning process.
Right.
So we always had a phenomenal strategic plan, very clear, very clearly outlined strategies, visions, and everything was tied to our core values, and we were very, very disciplined about everybody's compensation was tied to our annual business plan. And so if you wanted your max bonus, we had to meet plan.
Right.
Okay. And we didn't do budgets. Budgets are for bureaucrats. We were entrepreneurs. So
Exactly.
we had business plans. And so everybody was part of putting that plan together. It
Okay.
wasn't my plan, it was our plan.
Yeah.
You know,
You mean everyone top to bottom?
I owned the company, but it was our company.
Right.
Okay. And we had everybody in management had bonus structures. Everybody in sales was on an incentive-based pay.
Okay.
And everybody had an opportunity for both 401k match and profit sharing every year. And we maxed that out every year because we were really good at making a great business plan and we were really good at hitting our plans. There's two things every effective organization in the world has in common.
Yeah.
They have the right people doing the right work.
Okay. I like that.
And we were really good at that. There's only three things you do in business. Okay, you do things that add value,
Right.
and anything that adds value it means that's why your customers do business with you because you're doing something that's serving them well.
Right.
Okay, so you have added value, you have essential support. So to run an enterprise, you have to you have to have a current balance sheet and income statement every month. Well, that's essential to supporting the business.
Right.
Everything outside of those two is a waste.
Mm.
Any activity going on in a business that's not added value or essential support's waste. And one of the things that I did when I became president of the company back in the 90s is we started cutting out the waste.
Yeah.
And by the time I owned the company, I was CEO for probably 2 or 3 years, our bottom line bolstered hard because I knocked out
Yeah.
all the waste.
Yeah.
And I say I did, me and my management team.
Sure.
Wasn't
Sure.
wasn't just me. I had
What are those things when you say waste? Is it the things that most people? It's the
repetitive errors. Any
yeah.
step, any step that somebody, any work that somebody's doing that's not adding value to serving customers or essential to running the business,
Yeah.
everything else is waste.
Right.
And so when you get clear on that and you can wrap your head around that concept, and if you're there managing a business every day, I took a business process class back in the early 90s in Denver and came back, and I was like, the guy that taught this class, I'll never forget, his name was Michael Musavi. And he's the one that I think probably taught me those principles: added value, central support, and waste. And when you, if you really take and you look at your business from a, every business has business processes.
Right.
Okay, they all start and they all stop.
Yep.
Okay, well, between the start and the stop, there are steps that are being done today that are wasteful.
Right. Right.
Okay, all right. So until you start mapping your processes, engage the people that are doing the work and the dialogue, and getting them to say, yeah, every day I keep doing this and it's like I'm banging my head against the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that's waste. So we stopped doing that stuff.
Right.
When we started mapping our processes and documenting them, our processes were very long. Years later, once we got really good at this, we were in the exact same business doing the exact same thing with a process that was way shorter.
Right.
Okay.
And I think that's so important. One of the greats, Warren Buffett, he said two things that he said. Number one, he's like, if you're born poor, it's not your fault, but if you die poor, it is. And in the same little blurb, he said, any successful business that's out there can write their entire business plan on the back of a business card. And if they can't, it won't be successful.
Right.
And I think that's kind of what you're saying.
Right. When we updated our strategic plan, and we updated it every 2 to 5 years, how did we know it was time to update it? I was CEO of the company. I could feel when it was time.
Yeah.
Okay. And so when we finished our strategic plan every time, and it took us a couple of months to do a strategic plan because essentially everybody in the company was engaged in the process.
Right.
Okay, we subscribe to 2 heads are better than 1 and 10 are better than 9.
Yeah.
So we always engaged and got the players at the table
Yeah.
to build a bigger, better mousetrap. Okay, I was never the smartest guy in the room. They say if you think you're the smartest guy in the room, you need to change rooms.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so I was never the smartest guy in the room. I surrounded myself with people that had many strengths I didn't have.
Mm.
Okay, and I think that's the difference between a mom and pop shop and a professionally managed business. In a professionally managed business, the owner or stockholders have professional staff that are better at things than they are.
Sure.
Well, I had a whole host of them on my management team.
Yeah.
Okay. I was never afraid to hire somebody that was smarter than me or better than me at anything.
Right. At your peak to that front, I know you started with about 40 employees. When you exited, approximately how many did you have?
About like 107.
Okay. So, and you were
But we said
really lean if you look at
We got-
6 million with 40 employees, 1.7 billion with 170.
right. We were
Huge.
really lean and very efficient.
That's amazing.
Well, and that's what process thinking will do for you.
Right.
Okay. And so there were really, I think over the years, not only were we very disciplined, I'll tell you how disciplined we were at managing our processes.
Yeah.
Every process in our company was fully documented.
Yeah.
Everybody in the company, you could be a fuel transport driver and you could get on the computer and go in our the process database, the process that you worked in, and you could show us where there was a bottleneck, and you could change the process.
Oh,
The
wow.
protocol to do that was you had to look at who in the company the change affected,
Right.
and then you had to get with your manager and that you had to pull the people in that were affected by the change and educate them on why we were making the change. Okay.
And then did there need to be mutual agreement or?
Well, everything was consensus based in our
Okay.
company.
Okay.
Yeah, we were a total collaborative and consensus managed company. We were not a dictatorship. We were not autocratic. Everything was very, very consensus based.
Do you think they've lost a little bit of that since you sold?
Sure. Yeah. The people that bought my company, they're a total top down,
Yeah.
the kings at the top type
Right.
deal. Where if you looked at the organizational chart when I was CEO and owner of Carter Energy, I changed the name of the company right after I bought it
Okay.
from Carter Petroleum Products Incorporated to Carter Energy Corporation. We came up with a whole new identity and logo and just
Yeah.
really refreshed the business.
Yeah.
And we didn't take Sam's name off the company because his last name was how people identified with our company.
Right.
So we kept the Carter name because
Right.
that was our roots. That's
Sure.
who we were
Yeah.
as an organization. And I think Sam was probably always very proud of that.
I mean, you're paying an homage to this gentleman that saw so much in you
Yeah.
and got
Right.
you,
Gave-
you
yeah.
know, I mean,
Right. Yeah. He taught me many virtues in life.
yeah.
And really taught me the virtues and the principles that allowed me to become an effective business leader.
Right.
I learned most of those from Sam.
And that's,
I tried to take them to a level he never imagined
right.
when he retired. And
Right.
part of that was out of respect for him. The other part of it was just my drive to be good at what I did.
Right. And I think, I know you have kids and you grandkids
Yeah,
and,
children, grandchildren.
okay. And I think there's a lot of similarities between being a parent and being a mentor. You want the best for your kids. You want the best. You want them to succeed. You want them to do better than you. And I think there's something like Sam saw that in you, even though you weren't related, and wanted the same. He wanted better for you than he had, and so on and so forth.
Sure.
And I love mentorship because, I'm 37, but I started doing business when I was 15, and the only reason I've had the success I've had is because of mentors like you over the years. And I remember the first time we met, about a year ago, I guess, at up here at Buffalo Chip.
Right.
And you didn't know me from Adam, but Eric was talking to you about me, and you introduced, and me and you got chatting for about 30 minutes, and it was we just clicked.
Right.
You'd said something about your faith, and that was really important to me, because I'm friends with all kinds of folks, agnostics and this and that, different religions, different races, everything.
Sure.
But when someone believes the same thing you believe, there's a different type of connection. And then you said something to me, which was more meaningful than you probably think. And we were all drinking and stuff that night, but you said, "Man, I'd love to mentor you," and that's why we're sitting here. Like,
I had the good fortune that I always sought out great mentorship
Yeah.
in my life.
yeah,
When I was a young man, I always sought out the most knowledgeable people I could find about any subject matter that you were thinking of. And then as I got older and I started, obviously building my own track record, I ended up, I've enjoyed mentoring people.
Yeah.
I mentor young people all the time, and and I'm happy to do it. And I have a person who still works for me who asked me a few years ago, "Why don't you charge people for all this?"
yeah,
Well, because number one, I don't need the money. Number two, when I was young and I didn't have all this experience or the know-how to build things and get things done,
thing disappeared.
I sought out a lot of mentors,
Right.
and I don't remember getting invoices in the mail.
Sure.
Now, don't get me wrong. When I was CEO of Carter Energy and I was looking to bring resources to our company that we didn't have, and I utilized a lot of management consultants and people that knew things that none of us knew. Yeah, I paid for that expertise.
Of course.
But, when you're just talking about, somebody individually helping you
Yeah.
as a person, I don't remember anybody ever billing me for that, and I don't bill people for it myself.
I think that's the unspoken rule of mentorship or
Well,
menteeship, right?
yeah, I mean, I think it's that maybe it's the unspoken rule of grace.
That's true.
Okay,
That's
so
true.
if you if you're not grateful for your blessings, you need to get grateful.
Right.
And if you are grateful, then I think you need to share.
Right. Well,
And
and especially for, someone, for two guys that do have that grounding in our faith. You read the Bible and it talks about things in there like we don't deserve anything, but yet we have these things because God is good and He gives us good gifts. And I love that, and
well,
so
and yeah, I think some of our worst days are the days we attempt to defy God's will,
right,
and I think many of our best days are the days that we use the will He gave us
right,
to do the right stuff.
right. And when we are operating in the way of which we were perfectly designed to operate in, things go right. And when we're outside of that realm, things don't.
Things get a little bumpy. I told you I learned a lot of things from Sam Carter, a lot of virtues. One of the things that Sam taught me is that every human being has greatness.
Right,
Okay. And what I would say is like the difference between me and a guy my age who's sitting on death row today is I figured out as a young man how to utilize the greatness God gave me.
right.
The guy sitting on death row has no concept of what God gave him.
And
No,
he's absent of the thought that he should know,
yeah,
which is even
yeah, right. He's absent of the process where you reflect
yeah,
on the outcomes in your life, and then you change your behavior
yeah,
because you want a better outcome.
correct.
There's this little, I call it the cycle of life, and I don't know if I've shared this with you before or not, but if you've ever done like the Myers-Briggs
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
temperament.
yeah,
So, everybody's either starts out a feeler and then they think, or they start out as a thinker and then they feel, right?
right.
So we all feel and think,
Yeah,
right? We
yeah,
do
yeah,
both. Some of us are predominant one way and some of us are predominant the other. But, once you go through the process of thinking and feeling, then you have an idea of something in your life you want to go do,
right,
and then you go take action, and then you get
right,
an outcome. And the people certainly in America, I can't speak for any other culture because I've never lived in another country and I don't know a lot about the culture in Japan or the
sure.
culture in Kazakhstan or the culture in
Yeah,
Russia,
yeah,
nor do I even care to.
sure,
Okay. I'm
sure.
proud to be American and I love America and that's all
Amen
that
to
matters
that.
to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, so that cycle to me are the Americans who just exist.
Yeah,
They either feel or think or feel. They come up with an idea, they take action, they get an outcome, and they start the process all over again.
right,
The difference between the people that are existing and the people that are living is a couple of steps are added in there.
okay,
So we feel and think or feel, come up with an idea, take action, get an outcome. Once we get the outcome, we go back and compare that to the idea.
okay.
Okay. So we reflect on what we were desirous of getting done in the first place.
So reflection is the first key difference.
Right. So reflection is the key. Okay. So we reflect on that.
Yeah,
And then we finish this last step, which is just as important as the reflection. It's called correction.
okay,
Okay. So when you reflect and correct and you start the process over again, you've already elevated yourself.
you're starting off better than you started the first time.
Right.
And if you do it over and over
And
and
you keep
over,
and you just keep spiraling. You spiral up. You watch people who are just existing that
Yeah.
that have no ability to reflect,
Right.
rarely correct anything,
Correct. Yeah.
and usually they're in a spiral. It's just a downward spiral.
Yeah. It's called a vicious cycle.
That's why I call it existing.
Yeah.
You're just existing.
Yeah.
True living is that ability to reflect and improve your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And so I've always applied that. I applied that to the business. I applied that to my life. I applied it to being a parent. I've applied it to being a spouse. I've applied it to being a grandparent.
Yeah.
Okay.
It applies to everything. I mean, it's a copy paste
I'm
methodology.
living.
Yeah.
I'm not existing. I'm living.
I will say this because there's a few things I want to ask, and we're running out of time. One thing I would love to ask, and we can edit this out if you're not comfortable with it, but we talk about the top 1% in America's 1.1 million net worth. Where are you at after the exit and everything like that? If you're okay with sharing that.
Well, I don't know. I don't know those metrics. I'm probably closer to the top 0.4 or something.
Yeah, 0.04.
Or I don't know.
But we can say we're sitting with a billionaire safely.
No.
Okay, no, okay.
Yeah. No,
Is that not how that works?
no.
Okay. So,
No. I have friends that are billionaires.
course.
No, I haven't hit that threshold, and I'm not even trying.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm
you're just living life, enjoying the
yeah,
spoils
enjoying
of
the fruits of my labor.
30-year
Overnight success.
overnight. The 30-year overnight. You're enjoying it now.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, thanks. Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
I had at one point 13 different enterprises. I think today I'm down to 5,
Okay.
and I'm trying to get down to like 2.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's how it goes.
I'll keep my ranch, and I'll continue to raise cattle.
Yeah.
Help feed the world. I enjoy doing that.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun.
Okay, I got maybe 1 or 2 questions left. Do you have something that you would consider like the biggest nugget for, because this whole podcast, this whole thing is really for young entrepreneurs, guys like me, guys like you. When we talk about where you started, someone believed in you, it was a mentor, this and that. But is there a nugget? Is there something that you believe is like the most powerful thing?
My anchor. I think my anchor in growing and developing, not only as a person, and all, again, my growth in my life has been in every role.
Right.
Okay? My children are adults, and I have a phenomenal relationship with my children today, and I cherish that.
Yeah.
I never done anything in my life I love more than being a grandpa.
Yeah.
I just had my grandkids here for 4 days with me, and we had a blast.
I love that.
Yeah, I do love being a grandpa. I trade a lot of things in life. I wouldn't trade that one.
Yeah.
But I would say that when I was 30 years old, a dear friend named Elaine Harrell, her husband was the world famous funny car driver, Dickie Harrell.
Okay.
She's his widow. Elaine brought me a book one day called The Road Less Traveled by M. Scott Peck.
The road less traveled.
The Road Less Traveled. And I read that book at 30 years of age. And I would tell you it changed a lot of things in my life. Because what Scott Peck hammers in that book is the importance of learning to reflect.
Okay.
And the importance of going and getting help doing it.
Yeah.
Okay. And so when you talk about a mentor, I used to have, I don't do it anymore, but I used to have at the bottom of my personal financial statement,
Yeah.
I had a dossier on all of my mentors.
Okay.
Okay. They were all of the external resources that I used to build my enterprises with.
Okay.
Okay. And I wanted to make sure people knew that I had lots of resources.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was never the smartest guy in the room. I was
Right.
always looking for that guy.
Right.
Gal.
Yeah.
Okay? When I sold the company, there were 13 people on our management team. 7 of them were females.
Okay. That's awesome.
I'm going to take a quick bio break.
Sure. No worries, man. This will be the last question, and then I'm going to let you get out of here. One thing I've realized as an entrepreneur myself is Now, and when I first became an entrepreneur, when I had that drive, I used to think I'm going to make everyone think like me. And then I realized real quickly through mentorship and over the years, very few people are going to think like me. And so I used to think everyone could be an entrepreneur, but the truth and the reality is very, very few people can be an entrepreneur.
Right.
And this whole thing is geared towards those few, not the many. And so
Right.
what's the thing you would say to those folks that are worried or scared or hesitant? They've got the fire, they've got the desire, they know they're an entrepreneur, but maybe their family's telling them not to do it. That's how it always goes. You'll never be successful. It's not going to work. Blah blah. You got all the haters, right?
Yeah.
What would you tell those people that need to take that leap and they need to trust what the Lord, that fire that the Lord
Well,
put
yeah, I
inside of
mean,
them?
well,
You know?
focus on your faith,
Yeah,
and you just have to develop your courage.
yeah,
You have to be courageous. To be self-employed, to be an entrepreneur, you have to be courageous. I was so flattered when I retired, sold the company, and my executive team took and had a portrait done of me, and they put it up in our corporate office, and it said, Bryan J. Beaver, our fearless leader.
I love that.
They saw me as fearless, and I would say to a degree I was fearless. I
Yeah,
did have a lot of courage. One of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to live the life I'm living now.
right.
Okay, well, I had to do the work
Yeah,
to get there.
yeah,
And so I don't know. I was focused. I stayed the course. I worked. I did so much reflective work
yeah,
with not only with myself in the mirror or with my maker, but I did it with intelligent people also.
yeah.
Okay, I always had a personal coach. Okay, and he was a licensed clinical therapist, but even my kids called him my coach. He was
Yeah.
my coach.
With
And
personal and business or
just personal.
just personal?
Yeah, he just worked on growing me. Yeah, and that's what Scott Peck emphasizes in his book.
Okay.
Okay, one of the things that it's uncomfortable for people to look in the mirror
Oh,
and to
100%.
reflect.
Yeah.
Okay, and even harder than that is bearing your soul to somebody else
Yeah.
who's going to hold the mirror up and expect you to be accountable for the change.
Right.
Okay. Well, I took Scott Peck's advice, and I worked with two different counselors for 35 years
Wow.
to help grow me.
Yeah. You're the biggest part of you.
Yeah. And
And
I was the one that disciplined going there every Friday morning at 10 o'clock.
right.
Okay.
Right.
That was my choice.
I love it.
Yeah.
So I'll close with this. Focus, faith, and courage are the three things that you've said a lot. And really you kind of reiterated here. Get a coach if you're going to get into entrepreneur. You got to work on you to get better.
Right.
And reflection and correction. We said that a lot today.
That's it.
That's it. Summarized. If you guys do that, that's it.
Yeah.
So
Changed a lot of things.
before we close this down, do you have any closing thoughts? Anything you'd like to say at the end of this?
No, just
You've said it all.
yeah. Be grateful.
Yeah.
And you have to learn, if you can learn. I learned to do this in my 30s.
Yeah.
When you can learn to be just as grateful for the darkness in the valleys, the skyline and the bright sunshine at the peaks
Yeah.
is way brighter,
Yeah.
way brighter. But
Man.
you have to embrace the darkness in the valleys.
That resonates with me so much. It makes me a little bit emotional actually, because I'm just climbing out of the darkest season I've been through. And I haven't experienced it. I never experienced depression. I never experienced anxiety. I've been from 15 until 35, so 20 years. It's just been a forward, upward momentum in business. And it wasn't until I got sued and then lost everything. I went from 5 million net worth in the last 2 years to 1.4 million in debt. And it's the worst feeling in the world. And I didn't know how to relate to people who were depressed or who had been through darkness because I'd never been there. I mean, you can't. But I'm grateful that the Lord allowed me to go through it because now on the other side of it, and I'm not completely out of it yet, but as I'm climbing out of this hole that the Lord allowed me to get into.
Yeah. Well, there's many reasons why I talk about Scott Peck's book
I'm going to read
an
it.
anchor.
Yeah,
As an anchor, I've performed 23 wedding ceremonies in my adult life, just because, I don't know, years ago a friend of mine said, "Hey, you and Nancy have such a great marriage. I want you to marry me when I get married." And I said, "Okay." And that I did the first one for a friend and years ago, and then now I've done 23.
Okay.
And now I'm retired, so no more.
You're
Some
not
people
doing it
call
anymore.
me the Rev.
Yeah.
Okay? In fact, my Instagram page is the Reverend Beaver.
Okay.
Okay, but I give every couple I've ever married a copy of that book,
Yeah.
and I highlight the first sentence in the first chapter, and it's 3 words. Okay,
I'm ready to write them down.
life is difficult. Okay. I read the book when I was 30. From the time I was 12 until I was 30, I had a really bad acne. I read that book and I spent so much time reflecting on that first sentence that I went from fighting the difficulties in life to embracing the difficulties, and all of my acne went away immediately.
No way.
Way.
That goes to show you how critical that is.
Right. We internalize things so poorly
Wow.
that it makes our body just have.
The biology is affected by how we internalize emotions.
Right.
And
Exactly.
decisions and
Right.
lack of reflection and correction.
Right. And every wedding ceremony I've done, when I present them their copy of their book, I highlight that first sentence in the first chapter.
Yeah.
And I make them take the microphone and together read that sentence out loud. And they do. Life is difficult. And then all the guests are looking at them, and I tell them marriage is just like life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So learn to accept it.
That's right.
Okay. And you see, you're not making this commitment today because tomorrow you need to quit.
Right.
You're making this commitment today to build a life together.
Right.
But the sooner you accept the fact that life is difficult and marriage is difficult, the better you'll get at being married.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been married to my first wife for 44 years.
There you go.
I'm pretty excited about that.
Just celebrated, 15 years. So, which is exciting. Bryan, we'll let that wrap it up. And I appreciate we went over time, and you're so gracious to do so. But I really appreciate you, brother.
You bet.
And I appreciate you guys for watching and listening. And if this resonates with you, if this is something that you feel like somebody out there needs to hear, maybe it's you, maybe it's someone else, like share this, comment, all those social media things that you do with things like this to make them heard by others. But this is the Closers Playbook. We'll see you next time.